Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my first impressions video for Netflix's The Witcher. So, I just finished recently Alice in Borderland, and I wanted to check out another new series. Well, another series. um, and I'd been wanting to check out this Witcher series for a while. I know it's based off of the books and the video games and all of that jazz. And so I wanted to give it a chance. Now, I went into this having never read the books, having never played any of the games, or even seen anyone play any of the games. So keep in mind that I was that blind on it. I knew like almost nothing going in, only just the most minor of details, like Geralt's name, um, vaguely what a Witcher is, but I'm still not sure on all the details. I knew there were monsters. I knew it was like high medieval fantasy kind of stuff, and that's the gist of it. So when I went into this, I have to say I was surprised. I was surprised at how bad it was. Yeah, this may come across as an unpopular opinion. This may come across as maybe even me being crazy to some people, but it was not good. And there's multiple reasons for it. First off, the the visuals for most of the episode, and this is only based on the first episode, mind you. There will be spoilers going forward. I almost forgot to mention there will be spoilers going forward. So if you've not seen the first episode of Netflix's The Witcher and wish to remain spoiler free, I would suggest watching it before you continue with this review. The visuals for most of the episode are fine. Nothing amazing, but they're fine. The set design, the costume design, it looks good. I have no issue with any of it. Um, but then there's certain parts of it, and it mostly seems to stem from two big factors. One, the effects. The effects are shit. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Sweet Home. Sweet Home is a South Korean Netflix series. It's kind of like this psychological based uh, thriller with horror elements and these monsters that are apparently even really important in the end, which is disappointing. um, but the point is that the effects in Sweet Home, especially for the monsters, are very subpar. Like they just don't even look like they're there. It's like they're too cartoony, I guess you could say. They look like they're not actually there, and the people aren't actually interacting with them. And that's the same thing here. In the first minutes of the episode, you see Geralt fighting this weird monster thing with multiple appendages, and not for a second do you believe it's there. Not for a second do you believe that Henry Cavill is actually interacting with it. It is so fake. Like it doesn't look like it belongs in the world. It doesn't look like it belongs in that scenario, in that situation, in that location. It's so subpar in its just overall graphics, I guess you could say, that it doesn't look like it's actually there at all. And it's ridiculous. On top of that, there's this deer in the same scene, this like little baby deer that ends up getting hurt and Geralt ends up killing it for food. Um the baby deer, like there's a part after Geralt kills the monster where it's just sitting there like horrifyingly injured before Geralt kills it for food. and it's just sitting there breathing heavily. It's got the massive injury on its leg, I believe it was. It literally is clearly green screened on. It is so fake. Well, it's not that it's fake looking, although it is. It looks like it's green screened on. Like everything in the background of it is 100% green screen. It doesn't look like it fits at all. It doesn't look like it belongs there. It like the honestly, it looks so obviously green screened that you could just completely the only other way to make it look more green screened is to actually show the green, you know? Let's put it that way. And the funny thing is if it's not actually green screen, that's really bad. And that's not the only case. There's multiple other times in the episode where characters look like they're green screened in front of a background. And it's really distracting because it's so poorly done. It's so obvious. It happens when this army is about to go to war. Like there's two people leading the army, and you see them like in front of the other troops and stuff, and everything behind them looks like it's on a screen, and they're just standing in front of it. They don't look like they're part of it at all. Uh, and then there's this mage at one point, this wizard who uses these like wind based spells or something like that. They look so bad. Like not quite as bad as like the airbending in the last Airbender movie, but pretty damn bad and pretty damn close to being as bad. Um, but it's not just that. The acting is fine, but there's some points where certain characters feel forced, including Geralt. Like Henry Cavill is a fine actor and all, so it's like it's weird that there's some points where it feels like he's forcing himself to act. But then there's other characters who I guess you could say are minor, who just don't seem like they know what they're doing. Um, but it's only at certain points, and there's like other points where it actually does seem like they're competent. And then there's the entire A plot B plot thing. So I've talked about this in many other videos with many other contexts, but there's an A plot and a B plot to this episode. The A plot follows Geralt. The B plot follows some kind of royal family, while their kingdom's being sieged, basically. And it's clear that both of these plots are going to converge. That's the point. It's introducing kind of like two main characters, and they're going to converge into one plot. But for the first episode, at least, it's very clear that Geralt's plot is the A plot, and this other plot is the B plot. The B plot is so fucking boring and uninteresting. Nothing about it is interesting pretty much until the end of it. Basically, there's this kingdom run by a queen. Her son-in-law, it appears, and then there's her granddaughter, who's the princess. And the queen is kind of like very serious, very proper. The son-in-law, who is referred to as the king, is very goofy and doesn't take things seriously, and is constantly talking about shit like sex and going to sleep or whatnot. And the princess is just a kid, basically. None of them are interesting characters. None of them are entertaining or in any way exciting to watch. And the entire plot of this B plot is that, again, there's an enemy force coming to siege their kingdom, and they have to fight back against it, and that's pretty much it. But then in the end of the plot of the B plot, it's suddenly like converges over to like, oh, by the way, this girl has powers. And that's why the enemy force is here. And her powers apparently are basically just Black Canary. She's just Black Canary from DC. She just has the canary cry. That's all she does. At least for now. So it's like she ends up having to get away. Everyone else pretty much dies, and it's like I don't care. Like I just didn't care the entire time watching the B plot. The A plot focuses on Geralt as he's just basically being in and around this town. The people of the town don't like him because he's a witcher, and witchers are seen as mutants. Which, by the way, I don't know. Maybe that part's just me, but it feels weird that they're. This is like a medieval high fantasy world, and they're using the term mutant. Is that weird to anyone but me? Like maybe that term existed well before I thought it did, but it just seems weird to use that term in that kind of setting. Um, but they don't like him, they don't trust him, and they don't want him in their town. Um, but there's one woman who's nicer to him, and then there's this girl who offers to help him with work and everything. She ends up leading him to this sorcerer living in town, who is hiding in a building that's apparently cloaked with this spell that makes it look prettier inside, like this garden kind of thing, with these naked women walking around. And it's like, okay, you do you, dude. But he's like, oh, by the way, you know this lady you met in the tavern before? Oh yeah, she's evil. She was born under eclipse, so she's evil. And it's like you have to kill her. It's the lesser of two evils. And Geralt's like, no, fuck that. I don't do that shit. And so Geralt ends up meeting with the woman in the woods. She tells her side of the story, and then for some reason they have sex. For some reason they kiss and have sex, and there's absolutely no reason for it. They have no chemistry. There's there's nothing that makes me believe that that was a warranted scene. See, I'm fine with a show or a movie showing a sex scene or whatnot. Like that's fine. I don't care. But it has to feel logical. It has to feel natural and earned. It has to feel like the characters have chemistry, like it makes sense for it to be happening. And none of that was there. There's no chemistry between them at all. None. And there's no feeling that that was earned or that was natural in any way. It felt so out of place. And it's just like, oh yeah, this is an M-rated show. We've already had a bunch of naked ladies walking around. Let's just have these two kiss and have sex. And it doesn't show the sex scene, but it's like it very much tells you what happened basically. And it's like, oh my god, why? It's like it basically feels like it's just trying to be um mature to be mature without any actual thought put into it, like a lot of a lot of animated adult cartoons. Um, but yeah, it's like that kind of stuff irritates me when it just feels so out of place like that. Garrett goes back to the town though after finding out that the lady betrayed him and is going to take her revenge, and he doesn't want that. So he goes to the town to find her, is confronted by some thugs he was confronted by before in the bar. He kills them all, mostly out of self-defense to be fair, because they were coming after him. And then he ends up killing the lady as well, but not until after she gives him this prophecy. It's like, oh, this girl you find in the woods, she's your destiny. And it's clearly talking about this little girl, the princess who we see in the B plot, because in the B plot, like before she runs away from the kingdom that's being sieged, her dying grandmother, the queen, tells her, "Find Geralt of Rivia. He'll be your destiny." And both when she said that to the princess and when the lady said that to Geralt, my first thought was like, this is like a 10-year-old girl. No man is her destiny. It's like she is too young. I know what I know what it means. I know what they mean there, but it just sounds wrong to me. The wording could have been better, I feel. Like that just it just sounds wrong to me. But either way, the A plot was better than B plot for sure, but it was only good during the action scenes. At every other part where it was the characters just talking or interacting with each other, or just the way everything went along, no otherwise, it felt so unnatural. It felt like the characters just it felt like the actors didn't know what to do with the characters half the time. And the other half the time, even when they were performing well, like the wizard of the town, by the way, he was a great actor. He did extremely well. But even when they were performing well, just their performances felt forced still. Like there were multiple points where I was expecting characters to crack up just from saying the ridiculous names of everything, from the people's names to the towns and stuff. It's like this isn't even like medieval fantasy names. This is just ridiculousness. This is just silly. It's like the whoever wrote the book, I presume, because I presume the names come from there as well. Like whoever wrote the book just like came up with random babbling words that a baby said, and it's like, oh, let's name our town after that or our characters. And it's like, okay, you do you, I guess. It doesn't sound like it fits into the world at all. Let's just put it that way. It sounds like something a baby babbled up. Um, in the end, I I didn't enjoy it. It was bad. Like the acting was fine most of the time, but between the horrible like green screen shit, the just subpar effects in general, to the plots that were boring or just completely uninteresting, characters that the episode did nothing to make me care about. Like even child characters, I just didn't care about. And that's surprising because usually I really care for child characters a lot quicker due to just I guess like a protective nature or something. Um, I mean, you see that in One Piece in my One Piece reactions. So it's like, but here it's like I didn't care. Honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if one of the child characters ended up dying, and at the same time, I wouldn't have cared because nothing made me care. Like nothing made me feel like these were characters that had any depth or interest or likability to them. I didn't care. And that's what I feel is the worst part about this. And maybe it is also because I have never read the books and never played any of the games or whatever else. But it just felt like maybe you would get better attached to it if you did know like the other sources for the story. But as someone going in blind and having never again read the books or played the games, I did not enjoy it at all. The only thing I kind of enjoyed while watching was making fun of it at certain points, making fun of how absurd certain plot points were, or the fact that the wizard for the royal family in the B plot, his name is literally Mouse Sack. His name is Mouse Sack. One word, by the way. That is stupid. Like that is just so utterly stupid. And I think they pronounced it Mossick or something like that. But his name is literally just Mouse Sack. And it's so fucking stupid. And not even stupid in a good, enjoyable way. It's just stupid. But what I'm getting at here, like just overall at the end, I don't even think this is one of those series I could watch more of to just enjoy making fun of it or enjoy the absurdity of it. I think continuing to watch at this point would be just exceptionally hard. It would really grate on me and really just bother me. Presuming the rest of the series is like this, which I assume it would be. Like, I assume the rest of the series is going to kind of keep the same tone, same style, same effects, and everything. And it might get slightly better by the end of the season, but only slightly, and definitely not enough to really show. Because most shows wouldn't do that because they want to keep a consistency throughout the season. And it's just, I could not bring myself to watch more. I just, I don't care about anything about the plot. I don't care about any of the characters. I don't, I don't care. And again, like I said, that is the worst thing that the episode did for me. It didn't just make me not care. It actively made me not care. Like everything it did actively like turned me away from it. I didn't hate it. Like it didn't make me hate anything. Like I didn't hate any characters. I didn't hate any plot points, but it just actively made me so apathetic towards it that I have zero desire to keep watching. So it's kind of lucky I didn't do this for a reaction or anything. um, but yeah, keep in mind if you enjoy the Witcher Netflix series, if you think it's great or anything, that's fine. You have that right, and I'm not going to tell you otherwise. But this is simply my views based on my viewing experience. I did not enjoy it at all. And honestly, I cannot see myself ever continuing it. But that being said, check out Alice in Borderland, because that's actually good. But in all seriousness, tell me your thoughts on at least the first episode of Netflix's Witcher series down in the comments below. And thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.